and then we're going to get started. All right, let's pray. And so, Father God, we just invite you into this space. As we learn in our different homes and here at the church, we just pray that your Spirit will be with us, that he will lead us and guide us. We ask that our minds will be open, that we'll be able to learn well, that we'll be able to understand well, and that you will inspire us to think beyond just this material and the academics of it, but to the fact that this will impact real people. And so be with us, bless this time. In Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Okay. So I'm going to just start by just a general question. Can I ask those of you who are not from Strubens Valley to just introduce, because all the Strubens Valley people kind of know each other. So if you're not from Strubens Valley, could you maybe, I can just go through all of you, I think. So Tracy, do you want to unmute yourself? Tell us where you're from.
Hi, yes, sorry. I'm from St. James Presbyterian in Bedford View.
Okay, lovely to have you. Mani?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yes, my name is Mani, and I'm from New Birth Ministries in Beggersdal.
Lovely to have you with us.
Thank you.
Merle.
Oh, hello. I am from Mount Faith in Krugersdorp.
Lovely. Thank you for being. Barnetse, where are you from?
Hi, everyone. My name is Vanessa.
I think you've got two devices on. Yeah, there we are.
Sorry about that. Yeah, my name is Vanessa. I'm from New Birth Ministries. I was connected by Michelle. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, Michelle connected a few people, which is lovely. Laurel.
Hi, everyone. I am not at a particular church at the moment, but I'm all the way from Pietermaritzburg.
It's lovely to have you all the way from Pietermaritzburg.
Thank you.
More blessing.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm More Blessing. I was connected by Michelle from Church Alive, Northcliffe.
Oh, lovely to have you. Thank you for joining us. Who am I missing here? I think everybody else is connected with Strubens Valley in some way or another. So it's lovely. We've got people actually from all over the country. Nick, do you want to introduce yourself? Are you there?
Sorry, got distracted for a second there. Hi, I'm Nick. I am here on behalf of the Erudite Project. I wrote the course originally, and I'll be the person meeting you at graduation when you complete. I'm a therapist by trade. I'm a clinical psychologist, so I'm here to guide any questions you might have on that and just to observe. So I'm flitting between two classes that we're running concurrently. So if I do take some time to reply, please know you're on like one of my headsets and the other one is on the other. All right, good luck.
Cool. Thanks, Nick. Okay, so lovely to have you all here. We hear from all over the country, and it's lovely to be with you. How have you found the course so far? Have you all managed to get to the end of module 2? I see a thumbs up from Clancy. Laurette, you can also speak to me and tell me how you found the course. Shay.
Love, that's really interesting.
Okay, fantastic. Michelle, how have you found the course? You are still muted, Michelle.
No, it's been quite interesting. I've learned a lot, especially as it relates to the difference between coaching and what a therapist does, and it's more detailed than what I actually thought, which I see that it will help us a lot. It will help us a lot because I see the skills, it's detailed. I thought it was going to be an overview. It's more detailed than what I thought.
Yeah.
So it's been great in that way.
Fantastic. Sam and Claudia, I don't know who's going to speak.
It's me,
I'm me.
Sam. Sorry. Yeah, it's been fascinating. It has been at times slightly, I don't want to use the word ambiguous, but quite broad. I imagine, obviously, because you're only through the first 2 modules, it will kind of pull together. But there'd be times where it would say, like, you don't ask questions, but then it would say you must ask questions. So, like, there were just some aspects of it, which I'm sure, there's a spectrum. So there's a time and a place for all the things. But yeah, it's been good so far. Thank you.
Perfect. Anyone else want to comment on what they found?
Jackie, can you hear me?
Hi, Maura. Yep, perfectly.
I am finding it quite repetitive. I'm not sure if that's, fair, but I do find some of it is quite repetitive.
Okay. I think it's to do that because you're meant they are the things that they repeat in multiple. So you've got the videos, which are the teaching, so that you've seen those. You then have deeper, more videos on the same thing. So like the TED Talks and the coaching and those sort of things, which is just more in depth on the same thing. And then you have the notes, which is a summary of the same thing. So you will get it 3 times, but it's in 3 different formats. And I think that's just so you can get a really good handle on it. So that hopefully by the time I come here and I can ask you to do things, you will be able to do it.
Sure.
Okay, Laurel.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I found it a little bit overwhelming just to kind of get back into study mode, for want of a better expression. But I've also found it quite interesting. We often, we have conversations with people every day of our lives, and I found it quite interesting listening to particularly the active listening parts and reflecting on the fact that I thought I was a really good listener, and now I think I'm rubbish at it.
Fantastic. We're winning. Shay, what's up?
So I found it very interesting so far. It isn't what I thought it was going to be. So I thought it was going to be more focused on counseling, but I see it's more coaching with a few aspects of counseling in it.
Okay, can I speak to that? So counseling can only be done by a professional psychologist. And so we cannot at the end of this call ourselves anything more than a lay counselor, or even better word for that is a coach. Because we're not trained in the psychology and those sort of things, our role as a lay counselor or as a coach is predominantly to listen. And as you would have listened, as you would have read and heard in the videos, listening is incredibly powerful because it's so client-centered that it allows people to decide for themselves and discover for themselves. And that in and of itself is a form of counseling.
No, well, definitely. But so what I was trying to get at is that I did think it was going to be more counseling, and I understand that you have to study further to be able to do counseling and that. So it's nice to be able to see it in a different aspect.
Awesome. Anyone here want to comment? So I'm just talking to my room. Are we good? My room is good. Okay, my room is good. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute everybody. So please just unmute yourself if you want to speak. The other thing that I just want to go over very quickly, because I've heard this question over and over and over again, is the compulsory part of the course is the quiz. So you will work through the module, you'll see the videos. At the end of every module are the notes. I found it quite helpful to print those notes out if you're able to, and start a file with those notes, because then you can actually write on those notes. You can bring the notes to this online meeting. So the notes at the bottom, you'll see at the end, there's always those notes. If you're becoming a pregnancy counselor for our pregnancy center here, if that's the reason for you being here, you are also required to do the pregnancy module at the end of every course. You'll see there's a specific specialization in pregnancy. And then after that is the quiz. The quizzes are how we see that you have attained the knowledge that you've moved the way through. When this course is done in other places, you will see that they say, please email through your assignments, please email this to, please submit your workbook. You're not required to do any of that. You don't have to submit anything else other than the quizzes. I get a yay from the room here. Okay, so once you've done the quizzes, that's all you need to do, okay? What I want to encourage you, though, if you've got the time, is work through the workbook. The questions are fantastic. They really are really great. At the end of every session of notes, you'll see there also are review questions, and then there's an exercise. You can't be counseling others until you've done the work yourself. And so a lot of the exercises are personal reflections, personal time that you spend with yourself. I know one of them was writing a letter of self-compassion to yourself. Please do those. If at all possible, please do those exercises, not because you have to submit them, but because you want to be an excellent coach. Okay. If we want to be able to do this excellently and as well as possible, we need as much as possible in terms of this. Does that make sense for everyone? Okay. As always, thank you for all the thumbs up. As always, you're welcome to WhatsApp me at any point. I know I've had chats with a number of you in the week. You're welcome to do that. The WhatsApp group we have made admin only, just so that it doesn't bother you all the way through. Okay, but we're going to get into module 1. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to ask questions. And because I don't want just the same people speaking, I'm actually going to pick on people to answer the questions. If you don't know, say, oh, I'm not so sure, or I don't remember that, or help me with that, and that's absolutely fine. We don't mind that. We're here and we're learning. There's no such thing as a stupid question or not having the knowledge at your fingertips. You've only just started that. But I just want to bring home some of the key points that we've done in Module 1 and Module 2. So we're going to start with Module 1 with what is coaching. Tracy, could you tell us what a coach is? What is the role of a coach?
Okay, I've only just started going through the module today.
That's fine. Take a stab at it.
So, but from what I picked up, and I can't quote, is someone who helps you to set your goals and achieve your goals and be a better you.
Okay, someone who helps you be a better you. I like that. Does anyone else want to add to that? Anyone? Did she get it completely right?
I think we must just understand the difference between a coach and a counselor.
Okay.
That we don't analyze and we don't tell them what to do, but we try and create them to, like she said, to become a better you. So we have to know there's a difference.
Okay, so from the room here, we've got the comment that we have to know the difference between a coach and a therapist and know what our roles are not. So the fact that we're not there to advise, we're not the experts. Mane, could you maybe tell me what the key difference between a therapist and a coach is? You are muted if you're trying to talk to us.
Hi, hello. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he put me on the spot there. Okay,
that's okay.
So, I understand that a coach is someone who, more than anything, you listen to the client. You allow the client to lead you. and I allow them that space to bring out. You don't come out as an expert,
Yes.
rather to follow them, and a therapist,
This formula, whatever.
the therapist is someone who follows a formula,
Okay.
of which that now with a coach doesn't follow the formula. A therapist is someone who follows the formula and to diagnosis, I think. And as a
Okay.
coach, you don't deal with that.
Okay. You did very well for being put on the spot. Well done. Okay, so you've done very, very, very well there. So therapists, psychologists, those who are qualified, use the DSM-5, and they are actually able to diagnose conditions. They deal with sort of psychological wounds and functioning. Our role is to manage someone's, or to enable and help someone with their emotional, positive mental and emotional well-being. In a pregnancy crisis center, what we would be doing is helping young ladies, well, they might not all be young, but helping ladies who find themselves in a crisis, and we get to be a supportive ear as they figure out what they're going to do. We are not there to tell them what to do. We get to listen and guide them through questions and through reflections for them to figure out what would be best for them. And so the coaching relationship, it's not, we don't come on as experts. We're not experts in pregnancy. We're not experts in psychology, but we come to listen to them, to help them manage their emotional well-being and to make the wisest choice for themselves. Okay. Laurette, what will happen if we get someone who we suspect has sort of is struggling psychologically? Maybe they're showing signs of depression. What do we do at that point?
We have to immediately refer that person to a professional, to a psychologist that can take over. That's out of our scope.
Okay, so well done. So this is very important. Deanne, we haven't actually spoken to you. Are you here, Deanne? Hello, I saw you.
Hi, how are you guys?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. Don't you have to refer that person to a therapist?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do to help us with that is Nick is actually going to put together warning signs to look out for. So you'll literally have a list of warning signs. So things that you see that goes, this is beyond my ability to help. And he will also put together a list of who we refer to. So it's not like at that point you have to go, oh, sure, but I've got this problem and I don't know where to refer. You will have that information before we step into the coaching space. Does that make sense? Okay. Lillian, you are going to be up next. Can you give me some important components of coaching? What are some of the most important skills that you need to be a coach?
You have to have good listening skills.
Perfect.
And you have to be empathetic.
Good, lovely. That's good.
I think also non-judgmental.
Absolutely, yes. Non-judgmental. Yeah. Lovely.
That's what I have for now.
Perfect. Perfect. Merle, do you want to add any to that list?
Sorry, you have to use the art of reflecting back.
Very good.
Okay. Yeah, that's, yeah.
Good. Okay. Shay, do you want to add anything? So let me just put this out very clearly. There are doing skills and there are being skills. So there are things that we do and then there's a way that we are. So there's 3 doing skills. We've had 2 of them. We've had listening, we've had reflecting. Shay, do you know what the third is?
Inquiring.
Inquiring, and we had someone on the floor here. You see how much you do know. So inquiring is the 3, okay? So listening, reflecting, inquiring. Inquiring is asking good questions. We started to cover this in module 2, okay? In terms of being, Banetse, can you tell me some of the being skills that we need? We've already had empathy, had non-judgmentalness. What else have we got there in terms of being?
I think you need to be mindful.
Nice.
And you have to have empathy.
Yep.
And I think also just be warm. Be a warm person. Yeah.
Good. Good. Moira, do you want to add any to that? You're muted, Moira.
What have we got so far on the being?
So we've got mindfulness, we've got empathy, we've got warmth. What else is there?
A reflective. If you reflect back, is that also?
Okay. That's one of the doing skills. We've had that. Okay, we're looking at being. How else must you be?
Well, compassion falls within empathy, I think. Hey?
No, compassion is lovely. Absolutely. Okay. Authenticity.
Yes.
Okay. Affirmation, courage, and an interesting one, playfulness.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Okay. Sam and Claudia, I don't know which of you answer this, but why do you think those being skills are so important? You've heard them. We've got mindfulness, empathy, authenticity, and affirmation, courage, playfulness, and warmth. Why would this be so important?
I think for the other person to feel comfortable and sort of safe in that environment. You know, they can share things with you and not feel like they're going to be judged, or that you won't find their problem, you know, too serious. They need to feel, I think they need to feel safe.
Love that. So to create a sense of safety. Does anyone else want to add to that? Why do you think these skills are so important? Laurel?
I think it echoes what other people are saying, but it just gives us an opportunity to connect with someone.
Okay.
If we're showing all of those skills, both the being and the doing, I think it just makes the other person feel comfortable, and you know, the chances of them being willing to share and delve deeper into the process is higher, and it just helps us, both parties, just to connect. And I think it's about building a relationship.
Love that. It's building a relationship, connecting, building trust, building safety. Ashley, what is the danger of appearing to be the expert? Why is that not how we want to appear?
I'd just like to say that I don't like this. I think you should tell us a question ahead of time so that I can prepare my answer. This is giving me a lot of anxiety.
I love the fact that you feel so safe that you can share that.
But I think that coming across as the expert creates danger because it gives the impression that we're there to solve people's problems and to step into this or to do the work for them, which is not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to assist them in doing the work.
Yes.
And then there was another thing that I was going to say also, but now I've forgotten because I didn't prepare.
Sam and Claudia want to help you.
Sorry, next time we'll be on separate ones so we don't confuse you. We're just keeping things spicy. I think also so that the client doesn't feel belittled. You know, like I think people feel their problems are so shameful they don't want to share them with anyone. So we create that safe space, and then we try not to tell them what they have to do, and rather, you know, get them to get to the place themselves so that they don't feel as if you judge them.
Okay, I love that. And if they get there themselves, it's usually far more effective and far quicker transformation because they believe in it themselves. Ashley, you've remembered.
Yes, I have. The other thing that I was going to say is we also don't want to give the impression that we actually do know the answers, that we are experts, and what we're giving is something akin to medical advice or psychological assistance. We don't want to create the wrong impression of what our role is.
Yes. Okay, so you would have done in module 1, you would have done a whole lot of reading on the ethics of this and the fact that we need to communicate very clearly up front what our role is and what the client role is. Right up front, there needs to be some form of contract between us. So there's an understanding that we are not the experts in this. What is the danger? That there's an actual danger in being the expert. Does anyone want to try for that? Any ideas? What is the danger of being an expert? Clancy.
I think the danger in trying to be the expert is that you could actually really harm somebody who really does need some psychological help and some deep professional help. So if you come across as the expert, you could harm them.
Absolutely. So it's really, really important. Sam and Claudia, you were going to say?
Very much the same thing, that you could be held responsible for that. You're not the
Good. That's the word I was kind of looking for. Yeah. Good. Good. Nick.
Yeah, if I could just come through here also, I think looking at it as a therapist who does this, I am very aware when a client walks into my space, into my office, that from the second we start, although it is their process, as a professional, as a therapist, as somebody who carries that title and has the training, I'm willing to take on the responsibility for what happens to them. And I'm willing to stand by what I said, knowing the dangers that they're going through. And that responsibility is a very heavy responsibility to carry, right? Especially when you touch things like depression, all sorts of things like that. It's a very heavy responsibility to carry. And I think that's why I emphasize so much in that the danger you cause and the responsibility you carry is quite intense. And I often use the example of if you had an accounting or a SARS audit coming up, do you go to your bookkeeper or do you go to an accountant if SARS was coming for you and you knew you were going to go to prison for missing a tax return, right? The bookkeeper does the same thing as an accountant in essence. They balance your books and they make sure everything's fine. But there's just that extra little bit that the accountant does that makes he takes the responsibility. In court, you can say, he told me to do that. And I think it's a very privileged space to be in as a coach because you get to work more hands-on with the client. You get to do a lot more different things without carrying that responsibility with you. And there should be some relief that comes from this. I'm glad we're aware of that.
Cool. Thanks, Nick. We cannot be, you understand that if you give advice to a client, you are then responsible if they follow the advice. And that is why we are so anti giving advice and more around listening to them. Merle, I can see your hand is up.
So that was an accident, but what I was going to say is that if you come across as being the expert and the one with it, ideally you want the patient or the client to be driving this process. You want them to be coming up with their own path towards the solution. And if you come across as having all the answers, they're not really going to do they're not going to put the work in because they're going to assume that you already know the answer to their problem rather than them having to work it out themselves.
Yeah. So a number of times you would have seen, I agree completely, Mel. A number of times you would have seen, and especially because we're going to be transitioning into module 2 now, you will see that they say that the client should be doing 70% of the work, not you. They should be the one working. And as Nick said, that should give you some comfort because we're not expected to be the expert. We're not expected to come in and fix people's problems. People have that innate ability themselves, and so it's to trust that and to trust them and their process. So in order to do this, now we're going to be switching across to module 2, for those of you who are following with notes. The importance of rapport, building trust. Juanita, oh, she just left as I asked her. Hopefully she'll be back. She saw me coming for her. More blessing. What would you say why is building rapport so important?
Sorry, I haven't gone through the
okay,
the module 2 because I was struggling to log in. So
No problem.
repeat the question again.
Okay, so I'll make it slightly simpler, and you can actually just answer because it just makes a whole lot of sense. Why would it be very important to build trust and rapport?
Okay.
Okay. Chippo, could you give... Oh, no, more
hello.
blessing, you back. Hi. We thought we'd lost you there for a sec.
I think it's important so that they can also build trust on you when they come to you and open up. Yeah.
Okay. It's really the foundation of the relationship. If you don't have that rapport, if you don't have that trust, you're not going to be able to journey with. If they don't trust you, if they're closed, if they're afraid, if you come across as judgmental or harsh or uncaring, they're not going to journey with you. The entire process will be lost right at the beginning. And so this is why it's so important. And rapport starts from the first. We're going to be working with WhatsApp quite a lot, I know, for our pregnancy center. But from that first WhatsApp that comes through, trust and rapport is starting to be built because they know they get responded to. They know that there's somebody caring on the other side of the line, right the way through to meeting with them and journeying with them. Chippo, can you give me some examples or some ways in which we build rapport?
Hello, sorry, I was trying to unmute myself there. I think we build rapport by firstly, obviously listening. Maybe addressing the person in a way that shows them that you respect and you are listening to what they're saying. I think that's the key. Key is to get them on to see that you hear them and you see them. I don't know how to explain it. That's my best explanation. Yeah.
Now let's start with that. Lorette, do you want to add to that? How do we build rapport?
So it is to create that safe space where the client feels that they can, whatever they say, you're not going to tell anybody. This is an absolute confidential space. We upfront make sure what is the agreement, what's our expectation, what's their expectation, and to be honest, we can't pretend that there's something that's not there. So honesty and authenticity. And you want me to carry on?
No, I think you've done very well. You've said a lot there. That's brilliant. So you've mentioned a lot. Thank you, Lorette. So confidentiality is key. What they share with you has to be kept in strict confidence. What is the one exception to that, Lillian? Do you know the one exception to confidentiality?
I would think it is when a person is going to harm themselves or maybe someone else. Then yeah.
Okay, well done. So that's the only time that we would break with confidentiality. Nick, do you want to comment on that? If you're still with us.
I do. So with confidentiality, the rule is this, right? Anything that is said to you and within that space goes to the grave with you. You don't think about it, you don't whisper about it, you don't even like think about it too hard outside of that space. All right. That's the first rule. Imagine a Catholic priest times that by 100, right? Even under duress, you forget about it after that. However, if there's a side involved, suicide, homicide, right? So if somebody comes to you and says, I'm potentially going to hurt myself or I'm going to hurt somebody else, right? That's when the confidentiality changes. Please note at that point, of course, referral would also happen. And the referral happens because at that point, responsibility switches to you as a person. You have become liable, partly liable for that person. And that's why we try and refer it as quick as possible, right? Because from that second, you are viable with it. So confidentiality, is somebody going to get hurt? And the best way to handle it is this. Before you even start, you say, anything that says here remains here, doesn't go anywhere. However, if you're going to hurt yourself or you're going to hurt somebody else and you let me know, I'm going to call a family member that can support you. Do you want to give me a family member's name now that I can call, or somebody that I can call in case I worry? Because even if you're not saying it by words, if I worry it's going to be a risk, I'm going to have to talk to them. Not about everything else, but about this risk. And people are more than happy to feel extra supported with it. It's actually a great tool for building rapport because you're painting and you're looking after them in the long term.
Okay. Are there any questions around that? Okay. So confidentiality is absolutely key in terms of building trust and building rapport. Agreements and commitments. Merle, do you want to tell us why that would be important to agreements and commitments?
I think that you need to make a commitment to the process. You need to have a contract because I think you need to your change is going to take place. It's going to take between 6 weeks and 3 months to take place. So you can't be a fly-by-nighter. You need to agree to what the goals are. You need to decide together with your client where you're heading. So you need an agreement for that, in which things like confidentiality and all those things are going to be explained. And commitment, you want to know that, the client would like to know that you are as committed to what they are to seeing this process through, and vice versa, I suppose.
Okay, no, well done. So that would look like showing up on time for a meeting. When you commit to doing something, that you follow through. Mani, what is the danger of overpromising?
Hello. The danger of overpromising is that most coaches, what I've read there, is that they fail to deliver, and that obviously will kill on the client. So overpromising, it's not something you do. You stick to the commitment, what you've made, and then you deliver on that. You do not break new things. You know what I'm saying? The communication has to be there on time. So you don't over deliver, because most coaches fail on that.
Okay, so you don't overpromise.
Do not
Deanne.
overpromise.
Yes. Deanne, you had your hand up.
Never commit.
Okay, so never commit. Okay, but I'm gonna push you a little bit on that. When you make an appointment with someone, are you not committing?
Until a certain extent.
Okay, I think that's the commitment. When you've said, I will meet you at this place at this time, you're making a commitment to them. Yes?
Yeah,
Yes?
I do, but it's a life coach. You don't commit, because what if you can't deliver, and your client wants you, it's the trust. And you can't commit. That's why they say never ever commit. That is, I read something in this notes that they said never commit.
Okay, I think they said never overpromise. So don't overcommit, because there has to be some kind of commitment. That's the agreement that you're going to be signing. So what you've said in the agreement of, I will be on time for my meeting, for our meetings. This is where we'll meet. This is the time that we'll meet. This will be my role. This will be your role. I am committing to listening. I am committing to hearing you and journeying with you. Those are all commitments that I think are quite critical. So whatever you've agreed with already, that's what I think you need to commit to. Over and above that, this is where I think you're going. Over and above that, where you start saying, oh, I'm going to solve your problem, or oh, I'm going to find this person for you, or oh, I'm going to get you an appointment here. That's where it starts to get dangerous. And committing to anything there, under promise and over deliver, that is where trust is built. So don't promise to do things, but if you can do more than you've said, trust is built. Ashley, I see your hand is up.
I also think that related to the making commitments and not over-promising is because there needs to be an air of professionalism in what we do. As much as this is not like our primary job and we're just lay counselors, we still have to have a relationship that's based on like somewhat delivering a service, because that's what we do.
I think that's spot on. Absolutely spot on. Let me go to Banetse. What is the role of empathy, and how is it different to sympathy?
Hi, sorry about that. I was unmuting. So empathy is just being respectful, respectful listening, and you must just listen to the client's experience. So sympathy seeks to relate to the experience of the client, So that is the difference. Empathy, you listen, and then sympathy, you seek to relate to the experience of the client. Those are the differences.
Tracy. You have to unmute.
Sorry, I think empathy is when you've experienced something like that. You can empathize with them because you know what they're going through. And sympathy when you listen to them and you sympathize with their position. Try and put yourself in their shoes.
Okay. Trace, can I question you back on that very quickly? What happens when you get somebody in front of you who has an experience you've never had? How do you practice empathy then?
Okay, I think to try and put yourself in their shoes, to try and understand what they're going through, in the whole environment where they live, who they're living with, try and sympathize with what they're going through and put yourself in their shoes.
Okay, spot on. So empathy is understanding their experience. Okay, Shay, I see your hand has been up.
Yeah, so I also just wanted to say that empathy also ties closely with compassion, and it's also you put yourself like, sorry, I think it was Tracy that said that you put yourself in their shoes, but you do it in a supportive and non-judgmental way.
Okay, love that. Love the supportive, non-judgmental. More blessing.
I think I wanted to say the same thing that she just mentioning now, to say it's putting yourself into someone's shoes and to understand and share the feelings of another person.
Clancy, thank you, more blessing.
Would I be correct in assuming that empathy is when you are, because it says in the notes there, respectful listening, is that something you're doing, where sympathy is more like a feeling that you're relating. So you're more feeling the sympathy, whereas empathy comes across more as like you are doing something. I don't know if that's the correct way of looking at it.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
Well, I'm interesting, if not anything else.
You certainly are. So, Clarence, this is how I see it. So sympathy is when I listen to you, but actually in my head, let's say somebody is sitting there and they're telling me they've had, and I'm sorry I keep using pregnancy examples, but a number of us are training here to be pregnancy counselors. So I'm going to be using pregnancy examples. Someone comes and sits in front of me and they've had multiple miscarriages. Sympathy would mean me going, I can remember my miscarriage and I can relate to you. So it's like, it's about me and my experience. And so I can feel what you're feeling because I've had the same experience. But I'm not actually, in sympathy, I'm not actually feeling your feelings. I'm feeling my feelings about it. So sympathy is actually about me and how I relate to what you're saying. Empathy is going, it doesn't matter whether I've had a miscarriage or not. I need to understand what your experience has been. And so that's why they say respectful listening, because you are listening to understand their experience of it. The one thing I really struggle with in terms of sort of lay counselors or any, just even advice giving and stuff like that, is when somebody goes, oh, I know exactly how you feel. And the reality is, no, you don't, because you're not me. And you haven't had my experiences and my background, and so you don't actually know exactly what I'm feeling. So don't say that. Like, and I know people are trying to go, oh, you know, I'm with you in this and things like that. And we do it so quickly. But the reality is we don't know how others are feeling. We can't, because they're different to us. And so being empathetic, a lot of people have been talking about walking in somebody else's shoes, literally listening to go, oh, what I'm hearing is that your experience is like this. Okay,
thank you.
More blessing.
Oh, okay. From what you're saying, from what I'm understanding is empathy involved sharing emotions, right? While sympathy involves feeling sorry. Is that not like almost the same thing?
Yeah, I think that would be a way to say it. Michelle?
I just want to sort of reflect how I'm thinking about it, to say, because sympathy would be an experience that you've also gone through, you are almost not able to assist the person because you're fixated on your own emotions and the journey that you've undergone. Whereas empathy allows you to hear the person, but also take yourself, you're not drowning with the person in the situation almost, you know? So you're listening to them, but because it's about them, you are able to actively help them, you know, or guide them. I don't know how else to put it, but I see sympathy as you drowning and not even able to help, and empathy, you hear the person, but you're not involving yourself in the situation.
Okay, I quite like that, because, and I think what you've put out there quite clearly is you know, sympathy is more about me. I see Nick is there. Hi.
Could I just come in for a second? Yeah. Just to clarify. So the massive difference between sympathy and empathy is as follows. So sympathy, you feel sorry for someone, right? Empathy, you understand what they're going through and you share in that moment with them, right? So sympathy, for example, can be expressed without understanding somebody else's feelings, right? If I heard that you had lost a child, I haven't personally lost a child, but I can understand internally that's something what had happened. Empathy requires that I share within that feeling, right? An easy way to see it is sympathy, you usually offer condolences and support, right? Empathy requires validation and active listening, right? So an easy way to do it is like, sympathy would be, I'm sorry for your loss. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. Empathy is, it sounds like you're going through a real tough time. I'm here to listen, and if you want to talk, I'm available. So the difference is slight, but at the same time, one is immersing yourself in it and having a full understanding of the picture. The other one is having a limited understanding, and both of them are important in this space. Not one of them is bad or good. Both of them are used at different times. And with that, I'm going to be quiet now.
Thanks, Nick. Okay. I want to talk about mindfulness. I'm trying to figure out who I haven't spoken to for a while. Jonita, I was going to ask you, and then you disappeared as I asked you. Are you here with us? Are you back with us? Would you? Oh, welcome back. Would you be able to share with us the importance of mindfulness and what it actually means in a coaching relationship?
I think it's coming back to the listening part of it again, and you need to be within the situation, and you need to listen with everything around you, not your mind wandering off to 10,000 things and sitting there watching the patient or the person. Yeah.
Okay, so absolutely. So part of mindfulness is making sure your attention and your focus is completely on the client. When we're mindful, not just in listening, let me ask it this way. What else do we need to be mindful of other than just listening to the client? Laurel, I haven't asked you in a while.
So I think we need to be mindful of our own triggers and our own emotions, because I think we are obviously human and we will have some sort of reaction to what people are saying to us. And we just need to be mindful of those and make sure that our own triggers and our own reactions are not being projected. So we need to sort of, I think, acknowledge those, put them aside, and actively listen to what the person is saying to you, and then look at our own things after the session, as opposed to sort of in our minds focusing on ourselves. Does that make any sense?
Perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay, so mindfulness is managing your own, is focusing on the client, but also managing what's happening inside of you. Because when somebody speaks, you're going to have a reaction. You're going to feel something. And it's being aware of what you're feeling and being able to put that aside, being mindful of how you are feeling in that moment. Because we feel all sorts of things all the time, and often we don't even think about it. It just happens to us. Mindfulness is stopping and becoming aware of what are we feeling, what's happening inside of us, why we're reacting in certain ways, and to just note that. To note that what they said made me angry, or what they said made me feel desperately sad, or, or even noticing things like, I so desperately wanted to jump in and fix the problem here because it's so simple. I know how to do this. And you have this thought of like, I could just, if she would just do this. And to start noticing those things in ourselves, because when we look at that afterwards, we go, oh, look, you see, I'm trying to be the expert. I haven't got the client center. I'm not trusting them in the process. I'm still looking to myself. And being mindful is being aware of those things. In your notes, you had 5 steps. Moira, do you know what those 5 steps are or formula is in order to help with mindfulness?
To help who? To help the client with mindfulness.
To help the client?
Yes.
They're things that we can do. They're very practical things. They gave us 5 examples of very practical things we can do when someone is speaking to us that help us practice mindfulness.
Not be, what was I going to say now? That be aware of your body language. or the client's body language. I'm not quite sure what it was now.
No. Okay, that's good.
Just say again, sorry, what was the question about the 5 points on?
Yes. So they've given us 5 examples or 5 skills, let's say, 5 things that we can practically do when someone is talking to us that can help us be more mindful.
Yeah, I'm a bit stuck there.
No, that's fine. Absolutely fine. Oh, I see Shay.
So one of the 5 steps is that you don't interrupt the client. You allow them to finish speaking, and you constantly reflect. After the client's finished speaking, you pause because it allows them time to also reflect on what they've said, and you also use their words to be able to create the next step in the conversation. And then I don't know what the last one is.
Okay, good. Does anyone else want to try? Is there anything that Shay, anything we can add to that? Oh, there we are. Sam and Claudia?
I mean, I have the lesson in front of me, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm sage and wise and that I know the answers. But the other one that wasn't mentioned was just not to think about what you'll say until the client's completely finished speaking. Like, so not creating an answer before you've, I suppose, heard everything they've got to say, or like calculating the conversation.
Yeah, awesome. Ash, you had your hand up.
I was gonna say the same thing. Someone once said to me that a way to make sure that you're listening to someone is to listen or to think about what they're saying instead of thinking about how you're going to respond to what they're saying.
Yeah. Okay. Mindfulness is being aware of what's happening inside of us. And so when you're mindful, you're aware of your emotions, but you're also aware of your thoughts. And what that can mean is somebody saying something to you and you start going, oh, I must say this, or I must tell them about this, or what you're doing then is your attention is shifted. You're no longer focused on the person in front of you. You're actually focused on what's happening in your head, and you're focused on how you're going to respond. And then you can't listen effectively because you're busy in your own head. So being able to listen fully to what they're saying and to quiet that voice in your head and focus entirely on what they're saying. And part of the reason then that you pause afterwards is so that they can hear what they've just said. But then it also gives you a moment before you have to reflect because you were present. I've found this in the work I do so incredibly powerful when someone has told me something, especially something particularly deep or particularly personal, very vulnerable, that you just leave it for a minute and just let it be itself. Do you know what I mean? It's something quite powerful, something quite vulnerable. You're in almost a holy space at that moment. And so to respect that, so pause after you speak. The one that was said, but not as clearly as this is in the notes, is you use the client's words to create the next conversational step. So they can say, oh, so they finish up saying it was such a horrible, traumatic experience, and I don't think I'm ever going to be able to go back to that hospital. And so you let that sit for a minute, and then you say, tell me about what the hospital represents for you now. So you're using what they've just said to you to reflect a question back. I'm hearing this was really hard and traumatic for you. What was the moment that you found yourself feeling? Where did you feel the most in that experience? And so you use what they've said to take the next step in the conversation. You don't think about what they say. This is the third one, until you've completely spoken. We've said that. You don't interrupt, because if you're interrupting, then you're focusing on what's happening in your head. So you don't interrupt what they're saying, and then you do the reflection. I hear you saying, I can hear this emotion. I can see you feeling this. And so you're constantly giving them back, paraphrasing their words. Okay. All right. Anyone want to comment on that anymore? Okay. Mane, tell me about silence. What is the power of silence? Why do we use silence in the coaching relationship?
With silence, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. This I must say to start with, because I'm studying with my wife. This was quite the challenging part. You know, we were actually laughing about it because most of the time we always want to interrupt. We want to say something, and to be silent, it's yeah, it is awkward. Like even now as we were talking, I'm thinking, yay, is that why when you go to this therapy things and whatever, it's so awkward in the rooms, because now the therapist maybe is like trying to digest what you just said, and then you guys are just quiet for a minute looking at each other. And it's like, what is she thinking? What is he thinking? Did I say something stupid here? Okay, so this let me see what I wrote here. Silence, because now it allows the client to cough out more, because I came across this thing to say that the client has to speak 70% of the time, you know. Yeah. Because remember, the whole point is to push them to the solutions. They've got answers themselves. So in you being silent and listening, it allows them to go deeper, and then it helps them in a way to be free with you. Because I feel like more than anything, understanding this part of the coach, it's someone who either you heard or you've bottled in things. So by being quiet, it allows you to cough out more. I ask you a what, you know, I ask you a how, and then you're gonna go on and on. You're gonna go on and on, and it gives you that space to just go deeper. I think that's the power of being silent, you know, to allow the client to actually drive themselves to the answers, because we often do have them. I laugh at myself most of the time, because I talk to myself most of the time, and my wife catches me all the time, like, oh, so this is what it means, you know, when you just been silent, you're present there, and then this person just keeps coughing out, you know, they going deeper. So the silence allows that in the meeting for someone to go deeper and open up, you know, to open up more during the session.
Okay. I just want to pick up on one thing that you said, which I thought was quite interesting, where you said, you know, when the therapist sits there and is quiet, you then start going, oh, did I say something stupid? Like, what is she thinking? And what you're actually doing in that moment is you're now reflecting on what you've just said. And that can be quite powerful, just that in itself, is that you actually get to listen to yourself in a way and hear yourself, which we don't often have opportunities to do. Lillian, I saw your hand up. Did you want to add something?
If I may, so in the notes, it says silence empowers the client by reaffirming that they are trusted and able to go deeper. So from a personal experience or point of view, I also find, although the silence can be awkward at times, but the silence is actually, it creates a comfortable setting. That it's not something like this business like interaction. For me, yeah, to be comfortable and just talk about things, and trust. It creates trust when someone gives you the opportunity to just speak freely. Then you are comfortable and you know that you can trust them. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Lillian.
Can I say something?
Yes. So we've
Just
got one from the room here.
If you're silent, it can be very good. But if you start putting faces and you keep silent while somebody's talking to you, you also betray a message.
Okay.
And that can be dangerous for that person. That puts the person off because he's now got trust and he talks to you. And then you put in faces there and he thinks, well, yeah, something's happening here. So I think one must be a little bit mindful if you're silent, that you are neutral in your silence.
Okay.
Show respect for what the person is saying, not start putting faces.
Okay. So what has been said here in the church is managing your body and your facial language. So it's being able to control your face. And that comes back to the mindfulness, because your face will give you away many times. And so becoming aware of how you're sitting, how you reacting to someone is really, really key and really important. And so what Alrina was saying here is that you need to, if you're going to keep silent, just make sure that you're neutral in that. And you're not reflecting any of what's happening in your head, because then the client can feel judged. So that was what was said here. The acronym that is given in talking about silent is WAIT. Does somebody want to tell me what that stands for? It's a question. Shay?
Why am I talking?
Okay. Moira, you have the same?
Yes, why am I talking?
We had it here in the church as well. Okay, why am I talking? Sam and Claudia.
I think you're not seeing that Michelle keeps raising her hand. I don't know if it has been staying like that,
I
or
think
she
it
would
was.
like to say something.
Yeah, Michelle, you've been up for a while. I'm assuming it was up from the last time.
Yes, it's an old hand.
Okay, that's what I assumed. Nick.
Could I interrupt quickly? So we have the weight and the waste rule. And a fun fact that actually comes from hostage negotiation backgrounds. So it's why am I talking and why am I still talking? And those are two very important principles. Just a fun fact on the side, you won't be dealing with hostages, but when we've dealt with hostage situations, the most powerful tool we ever have is to just repeat the last few words that the person has just spoken, right? This is such a terrible experience. The hospital was really, I hate that hospital. I'm just saying, hate the hospital. In a question form, invite them to give more information, right? So that's the most talking. But yeah, this is just in case you're wondering, it's learning a bit of CIA tricks in this course, but yeah, it's vital.
Okay. Championing. Chippo. Can you tell us what championing? Good. I'm struggling with that word. Can you tell us what that is and why that's important for the client?
Okay, hello again. Okay, so I think championing should be something that we do just to reaffirm the client's values. It's like it's powerful in that it helps with as a tool for growth for the client when you're now in your process of coaching them. That's what I wrote down. So just make a positive, acknowledging and picking up on positive things about the client, and then you champion that. I think it helps in long term in your coaching session and your relationship, etc. going forward.
Okay. Spot on. That was lovely. You know, in parenting, they say that you should spend far more time praising the good behavior than you should disciplining the bad. So the more you make of something that they've done well, the more likely they are to repeat it than if you focus on the naughty things that they are doing. So when they get it right, you make a big deal of it. And championing the client is being able to encourage them along the way and to notice, because, I mean, sometimes it's hard. And sometimes the goals that they've set are hard. And to be able to say, well, you know, it's absolutely brilliant that you're back here. It's brilliant that you've managed to contact this person as you set as your goal. Let's have a look at, you know, where we're going next. And the, you know, in the notes it says you kind of start and end your session with that, because then the client believes in themselves and believes that they can do it. And so it's a positive way to acknowledge the change that you are seeing, and it helps them to see that, because if they're stuck in a negative mindset, it can be quite hard to see the progress that they're making for themselves. So you're kind of giving an outside perspective on the progress that they are making. The other one that is spoken about is positive reframing. Clancy, do you want to talk about why that is quite powerful?
So I'm not going to look at my notes. I won't cheat. And I'm just going to say what comes off the top of my head. I can imagine that any situation that someone has gone through in the week, they can look at it one way, and you as the life coach could look at it entirely a different way and see the positives that have come out of it. So you could perhaps take something that they've said, like, oh, you know, I didn't walk those 5 kilometers and reach my goal. You can say, but you really, maybe you, without using the but, you really did well because you walked 2 kilometers. So you are closer to your goal than you think. That's what I think.
Okay. Positive reframing can just change a perspective that a client has on a situation. They may see only the negative. I remember being in a situation where I was in counseling, and I was going through an incredibly tough time, and just I remember kind of saying, you know, I just don't think I can make it. Like, I can't do this anymore. And my therapist said to me, but you've made it for the last year already. What carried you through? What was it? How have you done this up until now? And it was such a powerful moment for me, because I was like, oh, I have actually survived. And it made me then look for the good. What was it that has helped me get here? What was carrying me? How did I get through what I've gotten through? And so she was able to take something where I was just going, this is hopeless and useless and I can't do this. And she was able to turn it around and go, actually, well, you have done it. You just need to realize how you're doing it, because that, you know, if it's carried you till now, it can carry you further. And so it can be an incredibly powerful moment to take what they're saying and simply ask a question that guides them in the direction of thinking differently about the situation. Nick, do you want to add anything here? Nick and I had a bit of a conversation about this today, because one of the things I commented on is, how do you do this without undermining their experience? So you don't want to just put a happy spin on a terrible experience, because you need to be able to empathize. How do you balance that, Nick?
So I think positive reframing is only the second tool to listening, and it grows out of listening, right? And you're not spinning something, but you're following a principle that we called learn or earn, right? So it's prodding the client to find out, was this a learning experience or was it an earning experience for you? You wouldn't ask it quite like that. But what we would do is we point out resilience, strength, and demonstrated ability. That's the first key to that. And then we would ask a question, which would then allow them to reframe it positive. We mustn't think of positive as happy, cheerful. Oh, I'm so happy this terrible thing happened to me, but rather that we frame it in a way that doesn't make them the victim fully anymore, that empowers them to move out of the victim space.
Okay. Is everyone good with that? Are we all on the same page here? Okay. The final thing that you looked at in module 2 was the questions and how we can ask good questions. Lorette, do you want to tell us the difference between an open and closed question?
Yes, so a closed question is one that somebody can answer with yes, no, you know, or with one word. Where an open question is one where you actually have to give an explanation or an opinion. You cannot just say yes or no.
Okay, why, Lorette? I'm going to just push you one step further. Why are open questions then important?
I think it actually encourages the client. I know I always do this with my children, you know, when you call them, you have to try and ask open questions so that it doesn't sound like you're hammering them with questions, but you actually invite them to think it over and to, you know, they actually have to work it out in their mind. If you ask an open question like, how do you feel about ABC? You know, then, I mean, they actually have to think about it and they have to organize it in their mind and they have to come up with an answer. Where yes, no is, you know, people tend to just like, you know, it's almost like saying, was your day good? Yes, you know, and that's the end of the conversation. So you have to like entice to say more, to think more, to participate.
Okay. I like your example. Gladys, are you with us? Gladys, are you here?
Hello,
Okay,
Jackie. Yes,
you are.
I am, but the internet has been kicking me in and out, so I'm trying to follow here. Yes, I just got back.
Okay. Well, welcome back. We're talking about open and closed questions. Open questions means that it invites the person to speak and to share more. Closed questions are a yes, no answer. And we don't want closed questions because we want to encourage the client to speak as much as possible. So Gladys, Lorette used the question of, did you have a good day? And that's a closed questions because the answer would be yes or no. Could you try and change that to an open question?
Oh, God. Now I can't think.
Okay. Laurel, do you want to try?
Sorry, I'm just fighting with my dog here. The question, just say it again.
So the question, did you have a good day, is a yes, no question. It's a closed question. So it's not a good question. Can you make that an open question? How would you ask that in an open way?
So instead of going, did you have a good day? You could say, how was your day? Or what did you do today? Something
Can
like
you
that.
tell me about it?
Yeah, to add
Okay.
more detail.
Okay. Okay, this is well done. That's exactly it. So it's inviting them to share more than just a yes or a no answer. In your notes, they give a whole bunch of examples of closed questions and they invite you to try and turn them into open questions. I really want to encourage you to do that because any question that you have can be asked differently. And you need to find ways to ask questions in a way that are powerful and that get a client to open and to share. Okay. The other thing is you don't want to ask too many questions. And so one of the things that it just says there is you balance out your questions with your reflections. Because if you're just shooting questions, Lorette was talking about this with her children. How is this? What is this? Can you do this? You know, the person can feel interrogated and can kind of be like, back off. You really want to be able to get them to a space where they are flowing and just speaking and sharing, and to encourage that through your silence, through reflection, through tell me more kind of questions, so that they can speak and share and ultimately figure out what they're wanting and where they're wanting to go. Okay. I'm going to end there. I'm going to say, are there any questions from these two modules? Is there anything we haven't covered, anything that you want to know more about? You have Nick here who wrote the material, so if there's anything that you want to know beyond me, he's here as well. Anything that anyone wants to know more about? Carol.
Sorry. Just you were mentioning in the notes they'd asked us to change closed questions into open questions, or to practice that. I see that they also encourage us to try and reframe a whole lot of phrases or sentences. Can we, I mean, I'm looking at some of those going, I don't know how to do that. So if we give it a shot, what is sort of the right platform to bounce off whether we're on the right track or missing it completely?
Nick, are you here?
Hi. I've only heard the last bit, which was Nick, are you there?
No. We're talking about positive reframing, and some of in the actual practice development, there are some examples that they give, and they say, can you please, can you try and reframe this? Could you do one or two for us? I can give you to you what they are, just so that people can see if they're on the right track. Are you willing to do that if I give you a few?
Sure, yeah, you can. I think it's also quite important that we practice this continuously. And you'll see through these examples, I'm probably going to struggle to also do it because I'm not in the mindset. However, there is also, just so that everybody knows, on the learning platform, there is a community page, and you guys can definitely practice questions with each other there. And make comments and post the question, let people answer it for the more technical ones of us, just so that you get used to it being a way of communicating. All right, so are we doing reframing or asking questions, or both, which is the best way?
Positive reframing for now.
Okay, great. Not feeling it all on the spot. Yeah.
Just to say, if anyone feels they can do it better than Nick, you're also welcome to jump in.
Yeah, please, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm tired, shattered, and exhausted.
Okay, so I'm tired, shattered, and exhausted, right? Positive reframing. It sounds like you've had a very productive and busy week. Right? Because what you're doing there is you're allowing a person to see that as a result of something else. So you're moving the focus away from shattered into busy, productive, focus more on the doing instead of the being in that phase.
Yeah, you've actually achieved a lot. You've done a lot. You've got, that's okay. This is going to be really difficult.
Oh, is that the statement?
That is the statement.
Oh, I thought you were preparing me for a very difficult question. Sorry. Okay, so this is going to be very difficult, and you're going to say something as simple as, between the two of us, right? Let's find out what the reward is going to be. Right, so you've taken the focus away again from the difficult into reward.
Okay. The question, so where did you fail?
Where did you succeed?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's something very good to use. If a person says this week was a complete failure, you start by saying, I don't believe that. right? I don't believe that, right? The fact that you have bathed and you've come here is for me a success already, right? Let's look at what else there was to the week, right? Let's not completely blanket it. That's a bit more confrontational therapy standard, but yes, it's better.
Okay. Is that helpful, everyone? Sam and Claudia.
Can I ask a question just with regard to that? The fine line between almost, I don't know. I know I've seen a therapist before where like I would express something and then they would almost to the end of the spectrum positive reframe everything that you want to like. I wanted to take her head and smash it against the bookshelf because I was just like one of the questions that she asked 1,000 times was, and how does that make you feel? Which was just horrendous. But then over and above that was just the like constant, I mean, so I understand the importance of positivity, but when you're feeling a certain way, you know, like you're depressed as an example, you don't want to constantly be hearing positive things, you know, like, because then I feel as if you're not not relating to
Exactly.
me, but you're not understanding what it is that I'm going through. What's the point?
Exactly. So yes, where the thing comes through. A lot of the time, we confuse positive reframing with positive psychology or pop psych as such, where everything is great, everything is lovely. Let me just try and make you see how great it actually is and how lovely it actually is. It's not that, right? Positive is not the opposite in this case of negative. It is something different from negative. Negative is an ultimate state. Positive is anything else but that, right? So firstly, I mean, I can't speak to how your therapist goes. The how do you feel is quite an important question, but it can be abused very often in some schools of therapy, right? It is very dangerous to just go and make everything positively reframed violently. So, right, you will lose the person completely. A wiser way to do it is through using questions that allow the person to see any other option, right? And you say, right, this sounds like it's really been sitting with you, and you wait. It must take a lot of strength to sit with something like this for this long, right? You haven't at any place removed the pain or suffering. You've not acknowledged it. You've acknowledged it, but you've allowed them to see that within that, there is a bit of them that you are going to work with, right? I don't know if that answers your question well enough, but it's a very fine line. And as soon as you feel like you're being too positive, right? So positive reframing. Let's put it this way into a more counseling perspective. If you're doing it 3 times in a session, it's a very unique session, right? You wouldn't use it more than 2 or 3 times in a session. You'd usually use it at the end of the session or the beginning of the session, not during the session, right? Just to give a person a sense that they have done something. And just the fact that they've arrived is already positive. Even if they arrive like a mess, you have arrived. Does that answer your question? Well,
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Okay.
No question.
Any other questions from the material, from here? Clancy.
I just want to ask, Sam asked a very pertinent question and Nick answered it very well. But is that leaning more towards the therapy side of things than to the life coach side of things? Because like Nick was, I know he gave a very broad example because he was kind of put on the spot there. But I'm hoping that if I do become a life coach, that nobody's going to ever come to me that needs such big help, if I could put it like that needs that real, positive reinforcement all the time, because then surely that would show an underlying depression, perhaps.
Almost the opposite is actually true, right? So how do I explain this? So in therapy, right, no one comes to the therapist, nobody comes to me to tell me good stuff, All right. All right. You're really coming with the worst of the worst to me. And because that is a space where that is the focus of it as such, right? I use positive reframing very, very sparsely, very not all the time, because that doesn't serve in that space. In the coaching relationship, because you're not dealing with psychopathologies, you're not dealing with necessarily deep depression, right? You have much more opportunity to positively reframe and much more liberty to positively reframe. But you are completely right. If you're finding that you need to reframe more than 3 times, there is an underlying issue there that you probably need to address. But it is a tool that is more utilized by coaches than it is by psychologists as such.
Thanks, Nick. I think I suck at this.
No, we all do. Please understand, we all really, really do. Especially when it comes to on the spot how to reframe, and it's particularly difficult to find what good thing is this bringing for you, right? When we were at school, for example, we were told you need to know your times tables, that even if the teacher woke you up at 2 a.m., you need to be able to know the times table. Right? I don't know if it was only my teachers that taught us like that, but they were like, you need to just know this. All right? I'm going to say the same thing about this. Get into the habit of asking, what else does it show? Not how do I make it positive, because that's not going to work for you. What else does it show? Right? Start with that first and do it with every question. Right? Do it as much as possible throughout the day. Oh, traffic is a nightmare. Right? But it shows that my patience is actually quite well. Right? I've lasted 10 minutes. Yesterday I lasted 5. Right? Which is a bit too positivist, but you understand what I'm saying. Get into the habit of doing it all the time so that it flows naturally within a conversation.
Sam.
I wanted to say something to Nancy. When someone comes to you and they say something like one of these questions like, what is it? I just can't think of a way around this. Like you're not responsible for answering that. I'd like to you can just open it to something like, tell me everything. You know, you're going to just be a sounding board. Sometimes you don't come in with something like that. You don't consider that, you know. Not saying don't consider it, but you don't open it up.
I hear you.
You give it back to her so that she can, you know, just tell me everything, because they feel better once they've said what's going on. But you don't need to address those that seem, you know, that like really dark side or heavy side. Yeah.
I hear you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to be wrapping up, but before I do, I just want to throw out, one consideration that we haven't spoken about yet, and that is why is this important as a Christian? Why would this be important? Why would God value this? What? And I'm just throwing it out to anyone. So why is this? Why is this something that would make God happy, for lack of a better word? Oh, Dorianne, you're with us. I didn't see you join. Welcome.
Hi. Sorry I joined so late. I believe it's because negativity brings on anxiety and stress and fear. And those are all classified as sin. So if you're trying to bring in a positive aspect to something, you're helping that person change from that state of anxiety and fear into a state of, I can maybe do this. So that's what I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
May I add something?
Yeah.
This is maybe a little bit of a different perspective, but for me, it's exactly what servant leadership is. It's like, forget about what you need and what you want right now. This is now about what this client needs to say, and somebody needs to listen. So I think in terms of, if you say, how does it apply to a Christian? For me, it's absolutely, to be there for somebody else. You're going to just actually facilitate them coming to their own solution.
Okay. Dorian, the one comment I'll make, I see Nick is on as well, but the one comment I would make is that when we start labeling their feelings and their thoughts like that as sin, we've moved out of listening into a judgment space. Does that make sense?
It does. I don't label them as such. I'm not telling them that, this is bad, this is like a sin or whatever. It's not something I'm telling them. It's just something I believe. I mean, I deal with women on a daily basis, and you try get them to see what are their strengths. What is she good at, to get her out of that sense, that state of negativity. It's not what I'm telling her, it's just what I believe. So I will do whatever I can in that session to help her see what are her strengths, what are her positive points, what is she not seeing, to help her move past this stage, if that makes sense.
Okay, Nick.
Hmm?
Oh, you switched your camera on. I assumed you wanted to say something.
Oh, no. Sorry.
No.
Please ignore me.
Sorry. Laurel?
Not my forte.
Sorry. Laurel, you were on?
I was just going to say something similar to what Lorette was saying. I think that God's created us to be relational beings. We're not created to operate in isolation. And I think learning these skills and being able to use them to assist other people in figuring themselves out to a greater extent just builds relationship with people. And I think at the heart, that's something that makes God happy.
Okay.
Very basic.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Mani?
Hello. You know what? I'm all over the place now. I had it in the beginning, and I didn't raise my hand on time. You know, a lot of things comes to mind being a Christian, because as the ambassadors, we need to lift each other up, and it's in there being present with people that they become vulnerable, to an opening up. So how do I put it? Because now we have the ability to come out of situations. We have the ability to overcome, because greater is he that is in us. So in you sitting there with someone, listening to them, being being silent, and they offloading, for me it's a way of petitioning as well. If I were to push it to that, it's a way of prayer, because anything that you take out of your heart, it's petitioning, it's prayer to God. And in you talking, then he gets to hear, even though he knows exactly what's troubling you in your heart. But in you talking about it, it's only here on earth where they say talk is cheap. God wants people to talk, so when you give someone the space to talk, they are crying out to God in a way, so that the solution should be there. Because as a Christian, I believe everything that I will do, I invite the Holy Spirit. So whenever we are there, we know for a fact that the answers are there, so it gives that a build up to pick someone up as well in the kingdom, because we are supposed to win souls. You know what I mean? So in your sessions and all that, people get to also have that portion of God to say, you know why you were actually created. You were created in his image. You know, you are that strong. I was actually moved by what Nick said, saying that and it became a preaching headline for me, that even in your mess you arrived. You know what I'm saying? In your mess you arrived. So that gives people a boost, the positivity, the affirmation and reassurance that it is going to be okay, because you know what, God is there. You know, so that's how far I can take it with me.
Okay. Ashley.
Just to sort of add what everyone has already said, it's also, I feel like, such an act of love to say to other people, I see how you feel and I hear what you're saying and I see that you're struggling, and I'm here to tell you that you don't have to do it alone. We can do it together.
I love that. Michelle?
Yeah, Ashley stole my words because I wanted to reflect on that. As Christians, we're required to love thy neighbor, you know? And part of loving is supporting. Part of loving is showing compassion. It's showing empathy and it's showing, sympathy. Basically, in the world that we live in, which is filled with so many difficulties, some people never experience that love. So sometimes by just sitting and listening, it's an act of love. And as Christians, we're required to bring souls to Jesus. Sometimes it may not take, you even speaking about God, but being present and the person seeing God and the Holy Spirit in you. That's what's going to drive them closer to God. And I think that is why this is so important. It's the love. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. So my Steuben's Valley people will know that I'm working through a series on the questions that God asks. And I think that's quite pertinent because God asks amazing questions and leading questions all the time. I mean, I think of Elijah in the cave who's depressed and suicidal, and God simply says, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" And then lets him speak and lets him figure it out, And Mani was saying it's a form of prayer. I quite like that. That you just are aware that I think we get to reflect God when we respect and honor and listen and put ourselves aside, put our judgment aside, and are able to just love someone enough to let them speak and to let them feel seen and let them feel heard and let them feel championed, and to journey with them to emotional health and wellness. And what an incredible privilege that is. And I think it reflects God's heart because that's what we see God doing over and over and over again in Scripture. So with that, I am going to end it. Anyone here have anything they want to say? I'm just checking with my church people. Are we good, my church people? We're good. We're good. We're good. They're all happy. Everyone else here happy? Yes. Yes, so it's 2 modules a week. So next week, same time, same place. For those of you who want to come here, we'll be doing module 3 and 4 for next week. Thank you, Nick, for being with us. And with that, I'm going to just close us off in prayer. Let's pray. Father God, we've spoken about a lot of techniques and ways of being and ways of doing what effectively is just caring for people and caring about their lives and their journeys and where they're at. And we ask for your help that we may get better and better at this, that you'll help us more and more to be mindful of ourselves, that you'd help us more and more to be able to listen well to empathize well, that you'll help us more and more to see people the way you see people, with your eyes and with your heart. And so as we go from here and as we go to modules 3 and 4, go with us, help us, teach us. I thank you for each person here, each person doing the course. I thank you for the journey that you are on with each of them. And I pray that you bless them in their homes. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. One last thing I just want to say, because I know a number of you have done this. If you've gone on ahead, that's absolutely fine. However, I do want you to, before each session, remind yourself of the modules that we're covering in that session. So maybe you've already reached session 6 by Tuesday next week. On Tuesday, on Monday, Tuesday, go back, reflect on modules 3 and 4 again, just so that when we get together, we can all be on the same page and know what we're dealing with. Is that good? Good. Okay. Love you all. There will be a recording of this. I meant to say that right up front, by the way. I'm so bad. By the way, these are being recorded.
Nick
Nick
took
say?
your.
This is after we've spoken.
Did you see the disappointment there in his face? It was just all over. So I'm sorry I forgot to tell you, but yes, Nick told you we are recording. And that will be available. Thank you all for being here. Have a lovely night. Happy moduling 3 and 4. Okay, bye.
Thank you, Jackie. Good night, everyone.